Life is never without trials. Everyone faces challenges, some visible, some hidden in the heart. You may feel overwhelmed, stuck, or like the weight of the world is pressing on your shoulders. And when that happens, it's easy to lose hope, to feel life is meaningless, and to ask, why me? But Islam teaches us that every hardship has wisdom, every trial has purpose, and every difficulty is a test from Allah designed to strengthen the heart, purify the soul, and elevate your status in this life and the next. The Prophet said that no calamity befalls a believer except that Allah removes some of their sins, elevates their rank, or prepares them for something greater. This means your struggles are not meaningless. They are shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more patient person. Every trial you face is an opportunity. The pain, the disappointment, the loss, the struggle, it's not a punishment, it's a classroom. And every moment you endure with patience, every time you turn to Allah in dua, every time you rely on Him instead of despairing, you are building resilience, faith, and closeness to your Creator. Hardships are temporary, but the lessons they leave and the patience you develop are eternal. Life may feel heavy, but with the right perspective, every burden becomes a stepping stone toward growth and fulfillment. Many people look at life's difficulties and immediately assume they are being punished. They think, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? But the truth is far more profound. Trials are not punishments. They are tests, opportunities, and pathways to spiritual elevation. Allah does not burden anyone beyond what they can bear. Every hardship you face, no matter how heavy it feels, is tailored specifically for you, designed to strengthen your heart, cleanse your soul, and elevate your status. Imagine this. The very struggles that feel unbearable today are actually shaping you into the person Allah wants you to become. Think about it. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. They are created under pressure. Gold is refined through fire. The soul too is polished and perfected through trials. Pain, loss, disappointment, betrayal, and setbacks are all instruments in Allah's wisdom, molding you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. What seems like suffering now may actually be a shield, protecting you from something worse, or a doorway to something better that you cannot yet see. This is why the Prophet said, no fatigue, illness, sorrow, sadness, hurt, or distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were the prick of a thorn, except that Allah expiates some of his sins because of it. Every test is personalized. One person may struggle with financial difficulty, another with relationships, and another with their own inner battles. Each challenge is a unique opportunity to grow spiritually, emotionally, and morally. It's a chance to turn to Allah, to strengthen your patience, to refine your character, and to rely solely on the one who controls everything. This perspective changes everything. What once felt meaningless suddenly becomes purposeful. What once felt like a burden becomes a stepping stone to higher ranks and immense reward. The key is understanding the difference between punishment and tests. Punishment is retribution for wrongdoing, often associated with anger or injustice. A test, on the other hand, is a trial with wisdom behind it, an opportunity for growth, and a chance for mercy. Every test carries hidden blessings, a chance to draw closer to Allah, to purify your sins, to build resilience, and to learn patience. The moment you accept that life's trials are tests, your mindset shifts. You stop complaining, you stop feeling victimized, you begin searching for the lessons, the opportunities, and the ways to rise stronger than before. Remember, nothing in your life is wasted. Every hardship you endure with patience, every moment you face with faith, every struggle you navigate with trust in Allah is accumulating reward in ways you cannot measure. Trials are temporary, but the lessons, patience, and faith they cultivate are permanent. So when life feels heavy, when difficulties press on you from every side, remember this: Allah has chosen you for this test because He knows you can handle it. He wants to see your heart grow stronger, your faith deepen, and your reliance on Him increase. The next time you face hardship, do not ask, why me? Instead, ask, what can I learn? How can I grow? How can I use this trial to come closer to Allah? Because the believer who sees trials as tests, not punishments, transforms suffering into opportunity, pain into growth, and life into a purposeful journey. And that perspective is what turns hopelessness into hope, despair into patience, and life itself into a masterpiece crafted by Allah's wisdom. When life feels heavy and overwhelming, patience may seem impossible. You may feel like crying, like giving up, or like shouting to the world, "Why me?" But Islam teaches that patience, sabr, is not just endurance. It is an active, conscious choice to remain steadfast, trust Allah, and respond with faith instead of despair. The Prophet said, "How wonderful is the affair of the believer, for his affairs are all good." And this applies to no one but the believer. If something pleasing happens to him, he is grateful, and that is good for him. If something unpleasant happens to him, he is patient, and that is good for him. This means that patience transforms trials into rewards, suffering into spiritual growth, and hardship into opportunities for elevation. Think about it. When you are patient in the face of difficulty, you are doing more than just waiting for the storm to pass. You are proving to Allah that your heart trusts Him, that your faith is stronger than your feelings, and that you are willing to endure discomfort for His sake. Patience is a weapon, a shield, and a form of worship all at once. Every moment you resist complaining, every time you refrain from despair, every silent prayer you make while holding on to hope, that is sabr in action, and Allah promises that it will be rewarded. The beauty of patience is that it multiplies the value of your suffering. What seems like a painful moment today can become the source of immense reward tomorrow. Your tears, your struggle, your sleepless nights, none of them are wasted. Allah sees every heartbeat, every sigh, every prayer whispered in the dark. And just as fasting multiplies reward for abstaining from food, patience multiplies reward for abstaining from despair and maintaining trust in Allah. Even when you cannot see the outcome, even when life feels unfair, patience ensures that your efforts are never lost, your struggles are never meaningless, and your faith continues to grow stronger. Patience is also transformative. It changes your heart, your perspective, and your resilience. When you practice patience during trials, you stop reacting impulsively, you stop giving in to negativity, and you start seeking solutions calmly and wisely. You begin to understand that hardships are temporary, but the reward for patience is eternal. And over time, patience becomes a habit, a natural response that stabilizes your life. You no longer panic in adversity, you pause, reflect, pray, and endure. And that endurance is what separates those who feel crushed by life from those who rise above it with strength and dignity. Remember, the most beloved people to Allah are not those who live lives free of difficulty, but those who face trials with steadfast hearts. Prophets, companions, and righteous servants endured unimaginable hardships, yet their patience transformed their suffering into reward, elevated their ranks, and drew them closer to Allah. If they had given in to despair, their struggles would have been meaningless. But their sabr turned pain into a ladder to paradise. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, patience is not weakness. It is strength. It is faith in motion. It is a declaration that you trust Allah's plan even when you do not understand it. And every moment you remain patient, every trial you endure with steadfastness, Allah is turning your hardship into eternal reward, shaping your character and preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Loss is one of the hardest realities of life. Whether it's losing a loved one, missing an opportunity, failing at something you worked hard for, or letting go of a dream, the pain can feel unbearable. It can make life seem meaningless, and it can tempt the heart to question Allah's plan. But Islam teaches us that every loss carries hidden blessings, even if we cannot see them immediately. Allah knows what is best for us, and sometimes what we perceive as loss is actually a form of protection, redirection, or preparation for something greater. The moment we begin to look for the wisdom behind every loss, we begin to transform despair into hope, sorrow into growth, and emptiness into purpose. Think about it this way: when you lose something you cherished, it creates space. Space in your heart for patience, space in your life for new opportunities, and space in your soul for Allah to fill with guidance, mercy, and blessing. Perhaps a door you desperately wanted to walk through was closed because Allah was guiding you toward better path. Perhaps a relationship you mourned ended because it would have caused harm you could not yet see. Perhaps a failure you experienced prevented a future mistake that could have been far worse. Every loss is not the end. It is a redirection, a subtle nudge from Allah toward what truly benefits you in this life and the next. Loss also teaches humility. It reminds us that nothing in this world is permanent, that people, possessions, and circumstances are ultimately transient, and that true reliance must be on Allah alone. When we experience loss, we are reminded to turn inward, to connect with our Creator, and to seek solace in the One who controls all affairs. It is in those moments that our faith has the chance to deepen, that our hearts can find patience, and that our souls can experience trust that transcends the temporary pains of this world. Moreover, loss is a teacher of gratitude. When we lose something, we begin to appreciate what we still have. We become more conscious of the blessings that surround us, which we once took for granted. A family member's presence becomes more precious, a friend's kindness more valuable, the small comforts of life more meaningful. Every loss sharpens our awareness, reminding us that the temporary nature of this world is a call to seek what is eternal. Closeness to Allah, a heart full of gratitude, and deeds that endure beyond this life. Sometimes the hidden blessing is not immediately visible. It may take years, even decades, for the wisdom behind a loss to reveal itself, but that does not diminish its purpose. The believer trusts that Allah's knowledge is perfect and that nothing is wasted. As the Quran reminds us, we do not grieve over what has passed, for indeed Allah is with those who are patient. Quran 2:153. The moment you accept that loss can be a blessing, your perspective shifts. Pain becomes a teacher, sorrow becomes a guide, and setbacks become stepping stones. Finally, every loss is an opportunity to grow spiritually and emotionally. It strengthens resilience, develops empathy, and trains the heart to seek Allah's support over worldly reliance. What once felt like emptiness becomes a channel for new beginnings, a catalyst for positive change, and a reminder that Allah's plan is far greater than our understanding. Loss is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a chapter where your faith, patience, and perspective are refined, preparing you for the blessings that are yet to come. So the next time life takes something away, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what is the wisdom in this? What can I learn? How can I grow? Trust that Allah has hidden blessings in every loss, and that by embracing patience, faith, and reflection, your heart will find strength, your soul will find peace, and your life will move forward toward a purpose far greater than you can imagine. When life feels heavy and problems seem insurmountable, it is easy to feel helpless, abandoned, or lost. You may think no one understands your struggles, and even your own strength may feel insufficient. But Islam teaches us that in these moments, the most powerful action is to turn to Allah, sincerely, wholeheartedly, and with trust. Dua, the act of calling upon Allah, is not just a ritual. It is a lifeline, a source of comfort, guidance, and hope. Every whisper to Allah in the silence of your heart carries immense power because He listens, He knows, and He responds in the way that is best for you. Dua is a reminder that you are never alone. When you speak to Allah, you connect directly with the One who controls the heavens and the earth, the One who knows what is hidden and what is seen, the One who understands your pain even when no human being does. It is in this intimate connection that your heart finds solace. No matter how overwhelming the challenge, no matter how impossible the situation seems, dua gives you a place to pour out your fears, your worries, and your hopes, trusting that Allah is capable of changing everything. The beauty of dua is that it is not bound by time, place, or circumstance. You can call upon Allah at any hour, in the darkest night, in the busiest day, in your most desperate moments. And the Prophet emphasized its importance by saying, dua is the essence of worship. This means that seeking Allah, asking for His guidance, and placing your heart in His hands is one of the highest acts of devotion. When you turn to Allah with sincerity, your heart is not just expressing need, it is submitting to His wisdom, acknowledging His power, and trusting His plan. Dua also transforms the way you perceive hardship. When you pray, you shift from a mindset of helplessness to a mindset of hope. You recognize that while you cannot control everything in life, you can control your reliance on Allah, and reliance brings peace. Even if the situation does not change immediately, your heart experiences relief, because you know that the one who is all-powerful is fully aware of your circumstances. That knowledge alone brings courage, resilience, and patience. Furthermore, dua shapes your actions. When you sincerely ask Allah for guidance, patience, or strength, you are also preparing your heart to act wisely, to make choices that align with His will. It is not a passive act, it is a partnership with your Creator. By combining dua with trust, effort, and obedience, you are not just hoping for relief. You are participating in the process of change, allowing Allah to guide every step you take. Remember, the answers to dua may not always be immediate or in the way you expect. Sometimes Allah delays, and that delay is part of His wisdom, perhaps to protect you from harm, to prepare you for a better outcome, or to strengthen your faith and patience. But this does not mean your dua is unanswered. Every moment you call upon Allah, every sincere whisper of your heart is recorded, valued, and will be rewarded in ways you may not yet see. So when life weighs heavily upon you, do not turn to despair. Turn to Allah in dua. Speak from your heart, pour out your fears, ask for His help, and trust His timing. Let your dua be the anchor that steadies your soul amidst the storm. Because the believer who sincerely turns to Allah in hardship will discover that no trial is too great, no pain too deep, and no burden too heavy when placed in the hands of the one who is merciful, wise, and all-powerful. Pain is an inevitable part of life. Everyone experiences it, in relationships, in work, in personal struggles, and in moments when the world feels unfair. The natural reaction is often to complain, to feel bitter, to blame others, or even to question Allah's wisdom. But Islam teaches us that pain is not just something to endure. It is a teacher, a guide, and an opportunity to grow. The moment you shift your focus from complaining to learning, everything changes. Pain becomes a lesson, suffering becomes meaningful, and your life gains direction and purpose. When you complain, the focus remains on the problem, on what you lack, and on your frustration. Complaining magnifies the pain, keeps you stuck in negativity, and distances you from Allah. But when you approach pain with the mindset of learning, start asking the right questions. What can I take from this experience? How can I grow spiritually and emotionally? How can I use this trial to become a better person? This shift in perspective is transformative. Suddenly, hardship is no longer a burden to resent. It becomes a tool to refine your character, strengthen your faith, and develop resilience. Consider the stories of the prophets and righteous servants of Allah. Every trial they faced, every heartbreak, betrayal, and challenge was met with patience, reflection, and learning. They did not waste energy on complaint or bitterness. They analyzed, reflected, and adapted, using every hardship as a stepping stone towards spiritual elevation and closeness to Allah. Their pain became their teacher, and their actions became their legacy. The same principle applies to us. Suffering is inevitable, but growth is optional. Choosing to learn rather than complain turns pain into a source of strength rather than a source of despair. Learning from pain also requires humility. It reminds us that we do not control everything, that we are not immune to hardship, and that reliance on Allah is essential. Every painful moment can reveal areas of weakness, impatience, or neglect in our character. And by acknowledging them, we gain the opportunity to correct ourselves. Pain becomes a mirror, showing us what needs improvement, what requires forgiveness, and what calls for reflection. This is how hardship molds a believer into someone stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Moreover, learning from pain creates gratitude. It allows us to appreciate ease, health, and blessings that we may have taken for granted. It reminds us that life is full of cycles, trials, and relief. hardship and comfort, struggle and reward. By learning from every trial, we develop a deeper connection with Allah, a greater awareness of His wisdom, and a heart capable of recognizing blessings even in the smallest moments. Complaining blinds us to these lessons. Learning illuminates them. Finally, learning from pain transforms your narrative. It turns victimhood into agency, despair into hope, and suffering into a meaningful journey. It equips you with resilience for future trials, patience in adversity, and the wisdom to navigate life with a grounded heart. The believer who chooses to learn rather than complain emerges from hardship not just intact, but elevated, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, ready to face life with renewed faith and purpose. So, when you encounter pain, resist the urge to complain. Instead, reflect, analyze, and ask yourself, what can I gain from this? How can I grow? How can I turn this into a lesson? By doing so, every struggle becomes a stepping stone. Every hardship becomes a teacher. And every challenge becomes a pathway to a stronger, wiser, and more spiritually connected life. When life is easy, it is easy to take everything for granted. Comfort can make us complacent, blessings can seem ordinary, and our hearts can grow numb to the favors Allah has bestowed upon us. But when hardship arrives, when loss, pain, or difficulty touches our lives, suddenly our perception changes. The same challenges that initially feel unbearable can become powerful teachers, opening our eyes to the value of what we once overlooked and shaping a deeper sense of gratitude and perspective. Hardship forces us to notice the blessings we often ignore. The simple act of having food, water, and shelter becomes meaningful when we face scarcity. The presence of family and friends becomes precious when relationships are tested. Our health, mobility, and daily routines, which once felt ordinary, become treasures when illness or disability strikes. Every trial strips away complacency and reminds us that nothing in this life should be taken for granted. Gratitude is born not in comfort, but in contrast, in the recognition that what we have is a blessing and what we lose can illuminate its true value. Perspective is another gift of hardship. Life often feels chaotic when we are trapped in our own struggles, thinking our pain is unique or insurmountable. But challenges teach us empathy, humility, and understanding. When we see our own trials, we begin to notice the struggles of others and develop compassion. Compassion. We realize that suffering is universal and our problems, while difficult, are part of the shared human experience. Perspective allows us to balance our hearts. We grieve, but we also appreciate. We struggle, but we also find contentment. We begin to see life not as a series of random misfortunes, but as a tapestry woven with lessons, growth, and divine wisdom. Hardship also teaches patience and endurance in ways comfort never can. When we face trials, we are reminded that life is temporary, that everything is in Allah's hands, and that reliance on Him is essential. These lessons cultivate inner strength, shaping a soul that is resilient, aware, and grounded. Gratitude and perspective are the outcomes of this awareness. They become habits of the heart, cultivated through repeated experiences of facing adversity and turning to Allah for guidance and support. Furthermore, recognizing the value of hardship transforms how we view blessings. Every small mercy, a kind word, a moment of peace, a glimpse of beauty in nature, a smile from a loved one becomes meaningful. We no longer take life for granted because we understand the contrast between ease and difficulty, abundance and lack, comfort and struggle. Our hearts open, not just to gratitude, but to appreciation of life itself. Finally, hardship builds a perspective that strengthens faith. When we endure trials with patience, gratitude, and trust in Allah, we begin to see that every challenge has purpose, every setback carries wisdom, and every difficulty has the potential to elevate our soul. Life's storms no longer feel like punishment. They become opportunities to grow, reflect, and connect deeply with the one who knows what is best for us. Gratitude and perspective together transform despair into hope, emptiness into awareness, and trials into a pathway towards spiritual growth and inner peace. So the next time you face hardship, Remember, it is not just a challenge to endure, it is a gift in disguise. It is a reminder to be grateful, a lesson in humility, and a teacher of perspective. The trials you face today are shaping the way you value life, the way you connect with others, and the way your heart will see blessings in every corner of your existence. And when you embrace this, life, even with its difficulties, becomes not just bearable, but meaningful, rich, and spiritually fulfilling. It's easy to feel trapped when life throws challenges at you. Pain, disappointment, loss, and uncertainty can make the world seem endless, and you may ask yourself, oh, will this ever end? But Islam teaches that every trial is temporary. The hardship you face is not permanent, and the darkness will not last forever. What endures, however, is the wisdom, patience, and growth you gain from it. Every struggle is a teacher, every obstacle a lesson, and every difficulty a building block for your spiritual, emotional, and mental strength. Consider this: the moments of suffering you experience today, no matter how intense, are temporary experiences within a vast divine timeline. Life is fleeting and trials pass, but the lessons they teach remain with you forever. The patience you develop, the reliance on Allah you cultivate, the resilience you build, these are permanent imprints on your character. They shape your behavior, your mindset, and your connection to Allah long after the trial itself has ended. The difficulty may fade, but the growth it sparks continues to influence every decision you make, every challenge you face, and every blessing you recognize. This principle transforms how we approach life's challenges. Instead of feeling defeated by temporary setbacks, we begin to ask, what can I take from this experience? How can I grow? How can I turn this hardship into a stepping stone? When we focus on the lessons rather than the pain, trials become opportunities. Every difficulty becomes a chance to develop patience, gratitude, empathy, and faith. It is in this mindset that hardship is no longer a burden, but a catalyst for transformation, preparing us for greater challenges and higher ranks in both this life and the next. Think about the Prophet and the righteous servants of Allah. They faced immense trials, loss, persecution, poverty, and betrayal, yet they endured with patience and faith. Their struggles were temporary, but the lessons they extracted, the strength they gained, and the closeness to Allah they achieved remained eternal. Their lives exemplify that trials are fleeting, but what you learn from them lasts forever. And this is exactly what Islam wants for us. To focus not solely on the suffering itself, but on the permanent growth it produces within our hearts and souls. Understanding the temporary nature of trials also brings hope. When difficulties strike, you do not need to despair, because no storm lasts forever. Relief will come, and Allah's mercy is always near. But even if relief is delayed, the lessons you learn, the patience you cultivate, and the reliance on Allah you strengthen remain. These are treasures that no one can take away, and they prepare you for future challenges with wisdom and resilience. So, whenever life feels unbearable, remind yourself, this is temporary. The pain will pass, the challenge will fade, but the lesson you gain, the strength you build, and the faith you cultivate are permanent. Embrace the trials with patience, reflection, and trust in Allah, because what seems difficult today can become the foundation of your inner strength tomorrow. Your heart will be steadier, your soul wiser, and your faith stronger. And when you carry the lessons from hardship forward, life, with all its ups and downs, becomes not just tolerable, but meaningful, purposeful, and filled with divine wisdom. Life can be unpredictable, and storms often come when we least expect them. Challenges, losses, disappointments, and uncertainty can feel like overwhelming waves crashing down on our hearts. In these moments, it's easy to feel lost, hopeless, or alone. But Islam teaches us that faith is the anchor that steadies the soul amidst life's storms. When the winds of hardship blow, when waves of despair rise, it is our connection with Allah, our trust in His wisdom, and our unwavering faith that keeps us grounded and resilient. Faith is not simply a belief in Allah's existence. It is the conscious reliance on Him, the trust in His plan, and the understanding that nothing happens without His knowledge. When trials strike, The believer turns to Allah, seeking guidance, patience, and strength. This faith provides a stability that no worldly comfort can replicate. While circumstances may shake, faith holds firm. It reminds us that no matter how fierce the storm, we are not alone, and there is always a divine purpose behind every challenge. Consider how storms test even the strongest people. Without an anchor, we drift aimlessly, swept away by anxiety, anger, or despair. But faith anchors the heart. It gives perspective, allowing us to see trials not as meaningless suffering, but as temporary challenges designed to teach, refine, and elevate us. The believer with firm faith understands that every difficulty carries wisdom, and every setback can be a stepping stone toward growth and spiritual elevation. Even when relief seems distant, faith reassures the heart that Allah's plan is perfect, and that ease follows hardship in ways we may not yet perceive. Faith as an anchor also shapes action. It is not passive resignation. The believer who relies on Allah works diligently, prays sincerely, and takes steps towards solutions while trusting the outcome to Him. Faith motivates perseverance, patience, and thoughtful decision-making. It is a combination of trust and effort, knowing that our responsibility is to act with sincerity, while ultimate control rests with Allah. This balance protects the heart from despair and guides the soul toward resilience, even in the toughest situations. Moreover, faith provides comfort when we face trials alone. Human support can be limited, circumstances may be harsh, and sometimes we feel isolated in our struggles. But faith assures us that Allah is near, that He knows every tear, every sigh, and every unspoken worry. The Quran reminds us, indeed, Allah is with those who are patient. Quran 2:153. This presence, this divine companionship, is the ultimate anchor. It transforms fear into courage, anxiety into hope, and despair into perseverance. Finally, faith anchors not only in hardship, but in every aspect of life. It allows the heart to remain steady in success, grounded in humility, and connected to purpose. Storms will come and go, but the believer's faith endures, stabilizing the soul through both trials and triumphs. It turns life's turbulence into a journey of growth, a path of resilience, and a story of spiritual elevation. So when life feels like it is spinning out of control, remember, let your faith be your anchor. Hold fast to Allah, trust His wisdom, and rely on His guidance. With faith firmly rooted, no storm can overwhelm you, no trial can crush you, and no hardship can make your heart lose hope. The believer who anchors in Allah navigates the storms of life with courage, patience, and peace, knowing that every wave has a lesson, every gust carries wisdom, and every trial is part of a divine plan designed for growth, reward, and eternal success. As we reflect on everything we've explored, from trusting Allah in every moment, embracing gratitude, building purposeful habits, to facing life's challenges with patience and faith, one truth becomes undeniable. Life is never truly pointless when anchored in Allah's guidance. Each part of our journey, each lesson, each struggle, and each act of devotion contributes to a life of meaning, resilience, and spiritual growth. Challenges are not punishments, but tests. Hardships are not dead ends, but opportunities to grow. Losses are not emptiness, but openings for blessings we may not yet see. Every step, every choice, every moment spent with intention shapes a future filled with purpose, peace, and reward. The secret lies in perspective and action. Turn to Allah in prayer, practice patience, reflect on your experiences, cultivate gratitude, and build habits that elevate your soul. Let faith be your anchor when storms arise, and let trials be your teachers, shaping a heart that is steadfast, a mind that is resilient, and a soul that is aligned with its Creator. Life will never be free from difficulty, but it will be full of meaning, connection, and divine wisdom when you choose trust over despair, purpose over aimlessness, and reflection over complaint. Remember, the journey of a meaningful life begins today, with the choices you make in this very moment. No trial is wasted, no hardship is meaningless, and no moment is without purpose when Allah is at the center of your life. Start now. Pray, reflect, persevere, and act with intention, Build your habits, embrace your challenges, and let your faith guide every step. Life may have its storms, but with Allah as your anchor, your heart will find peace, your mind will find clarity, and your soul will discover the true meaning that it has been seeking all along. Because the believer who lives intentionally, trusts deeply, and perseveres patiently transforms life from feeling pointless into a journey of extraordinary purpose, growth, and reward.